tell everyone who you are?
My name's Liz Parker. I'm from Titusville, Florida.
Actually, that's a good question. Where are we right now?
Port Orange, Florida.
Well,
Oh, excuse me, Ormond Beach, Florida.
That's where we are right now.
Ormond Beach.
That's where we are, people. Okay. So you can't tell the story as much as you want to for certain reasons.
Right. We're still in vaccine court and waiting for a decision. We've been waiting for 14 years, essentially. We filed our case in 2002. We've been through a number of attorneys, a number of expert witnesses, and a number of heated discussions, and it continues on slowly through the machinations of the special masters.
How can they get away with 14 years?
I guess it would be more our fault than theirs because we refused to go away.
Did they want to settle out of court?
No, they didn't offer a settlement. They asked us to go away because my daughter is diagnosed with autism.
Alright, so what can we talk about? Can we go back to how she was before the vaccine?
Absolutely. She was beautiful. She was amazing, and the doctor called her perfect at every single pediatric visit. Up until she was 14 weeks old, she was perfect. We brought her in, she was vaccinated and went away screaming. She was screaming so hard that I literally ran from the doctor's office. I didn't want to upset the other babies. She screamed for a very long time. After she finally stopped screaming hours and hours and hours later, her eyes kind of rolled out and she went to sleep. And she slept longer than she'd ever slept. And I kept calling the doctor's office saying, I'm concerned she's not woken up yet. And they kept saying, just let her be, she'll be fine. And she woke up eventually and I went to change her diaper, and I had her legs in my hands. Realized I needed a wipe, and she kicked really vigorously, so I learned to just drop one leg, hold the other while I went for the wipe. I dropped her leg and it thunked to the table. And it kind of surprised me, so I dropped her other leg and it thunked to the table. And she didn't move it. And then I looked at her face and she wasn't looking at herself in the mirror, and she wasn't smiling. She was just laying there. So I called the doctor, and they told me it was no big deal. And from there, we kind of progressed to these screaming and crying jags and horrible mucus-filled bloody diapers. And eventually, she went through all but, I think, one or two of the symptoms on the vaccine information statement, and we got to the one that said go to the hospital, so we did. I brought the vaccine information statement with me to the hospital. She was 9 days post-vaccine by then. She hadn't been eating properly or behaving properly. She hadn't been sleeping properly. And she had been screaming nonstop for well over 4 hours with her back arched in a high-pitched wail. And when we went to the hospital, they checked her in, and it took a couple of more hours to see a doctor. And I didn't know at the time, but he wasn't a pediatrician. He was a hospital generalist. And he diagnosed her with an ear infection and sent her home with a Moxil. And I said, but this says that there's something wrong. And he threw it away and told me that it was not anything to do with vaccines, it was an ear infection. And we continued vaccinating her through the second year. And after every vaccine visit, her head blew up to almost the 99th percentile. And she was normally down in the 50th to the 75th. And it was only that size after the vaccine visits. We also had noticed by the time she was 1 that she was very not properly developing. We took her to early intervention and got her evaluated, and we went through a series of evaluations, and every evaluation kind of fell after a milestone for a vaccine visit. So I noticed in hindsight, as I was getting ready for vaccine court, that the records showed that she was just falling apart after each vaccine visit. And they kept telling me, the doctor kept saying it's not the vaccines. Eventually she was diagnosed as severely autistic. She's got epilepsy, she's got metabolic dysfunction that kind of leaves her mitochondrial short of energy. She's got autoimmunity to her myelin and to her brain endothelial cells. She's hypotonic. She struggles mightily to learn, and she has a lot of frontal lobe activity that I think is disruptive on a daily basis for her. She's an amazing girl. We love her to death. And she is trying really hard to overcome the worst of autism as she waits her turn to be heard. We've spent, if you combine all of the monies that have been spent on her care to date, it's over $2 million. She's been doing 25 to 40 hours of one-on-one therapy since she was 4.5, 5, something like that. And it's been amazing. It's given her a voice where she didn't have one. I was told when she was 2 she'd never speak with intent or toilet train, and that I should institutionalize her by the time she's 5 because there's no way that she'd even be able to bag groceries at Publix. So we're working to do what we can to recover her. She's gluten-free, allergen-free, and she's got a large number of allergens, organic. She's on over 40 supplements a day, and she's still doing, like I said, at this point in time, over 25 hours a week with one-on-one therapy, plus what we do at home. I guess the message I send to people who are struggling with this is if you haven't read the prescribing information for the vaccines, you absolutely should before you choose to be injected with them or to have your child injected with them, because you can't undo what's done. And she's lost her childhood to therapies, and she doesn't even remember her first 6 years of life, and she's never going to have an independent adulthood. Because I didn't know enough to do my research, and I didn't ask enough questions, and I didn't follow up. And the only other message I can say is when you take your child to a hospital, ask whether the doctor treating your child is a pediatrician, because the one who was treating my child wasn't, and ask whether they know what a vaccine adverse event looks like, because I didn't. I can't undo what was done to her, but I can hopefully help other people not suffer the same consequences.
Thank you. So I know you're in a rush. I know you've got to go. Thank you for your story. It's, as always, devastating and pointless and preventable. So on behalf of everyone, we apologise. Have you signed her name on the bus?
I haven't yet.
Have you heard the rain outside?
I heard.
So are you going to go out in the rain?
I'll go out in the rain and sign, absolutely.
Okay.